SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're more than a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors and trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've helped families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. We're dedicated to your success every step of the way. Community Bank, member FDIC.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5,
good morning, everybody. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Whether you're ending your day or starting your day with us, thank you for being here. It's a little after 6 o'clock here on December 23rd, Christmas Eve. It's getting here. You've got about what'd you say, Lance? 36 hours to do your.
You better get it done.
If you got shopping to do, now is the time to do it. Best be getting out there. Probably should have done it earlier.
I don't know about the probably. There is some adventure to it.
There is some adventure to it.
You may find a deal that you didn't know was even possible out there. Somebody giving away something almost.
And a bunch of folks who like you and like me. I don't say this with any judgment. I say this very much as somebody who's trying to figure out where to get it in over the course of the next 2 days. You'll see a lot of people who are just like you who also waited till the 23rd or 24th to get out there and get those Christmas presents. But thank you also. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. Thank you to everybody who will be working tomorrow and on Thursday, so that the rest of us are able to not work, whether you're first responders, people in the medical field, obviously our military at home and abroad, and others. There are a lot of people who are not going to be having the hopefully slow, relaxing week that so many of us are going to get to enjoy. And so thank you to those folks for what you do to allow us to be able to enjoy this time. I mean, it's just it is such a fantastic time of the year because it's one of the few times, if you are one of the many who are fortunate enough not to be working, where you're really able to just slow down. I mean, nobody is calling you on Christmas Day for the most part. You know, it's one of the few days, like my phone, I don't know where my phone is, but that's just about 364 days of the year. I know where that phone is any second because you know somebody may be reaching out to you for Christmas Day if you're able to just sort of relax.
It was funny yesterday. You were telling me that you'd been using your passport.
Oh, yeah.
You had no you're all over the place with the phone, the wallet right now. It's like, the heck with all this. I don't need any of it.
My 4-year-old, for context, I'm pretty sure my 4-year-old has hidden my wallet, and I'm checking my credit cards. No one's using them, so I'm optimistic that it has not been stolen.
He hadn't figured that out yet.
Yeah, no, that's right. He hadn't figured out how to take that wallet and burn it up. But so I've been having to use my passport when you would normally use your driver's license, which has made things interesting. I had one credit card that happened to not be in the wallet, so I'm just floating around with those two. But we're about to move out of this apartment we've been living in for a year, and my hope is when we start moving furniture and boxes, I will finally find that wallet, because just the effort of going and getting replacement cards, etc. It's just a massive pain if you can avoid it.
Well, there is, and it's almost like getting a new phone.
Oh yeah,
Richard always says, "Oh man, it's nothing to it now." I know I'll lose half of everything as soon as I actually. I mean, I'm probably like 2 years in. I mean, you can see the keyboard bleeding through the screen on my phone. I've had this Samsung for so long. But I'm just I hate the process of getting a new phone. I know C-Spire makes it easy. It's like going to the dentist, man. It's not something you look forward to.
Well, and
replacing your wallet and all that same way. It's not something.
Yeah, if you can avoid it, if you can avoid it, you want to. But I will say kudos to Sean Tyndall, the Commissioner of Public Safety, for implementing the new process. I say new to me, of where you can get appointments to go in and get your driver's license, because that's just, I mean,
game changer.
It's a game changer. Yeah. I ended up having to get a duplicate I ended up having to get a duplicate driver's license because I needed it to buy a gun, and it took 15 minutes. When I renewed my driver's license the last time, it was
partial of a day.
Oh yeah, you had to block off your afternoon. Same thing. My wife, her license was expired, and she was fretting because it's not really the time of year where you want to say, I'm going to be at the DMV from 2 o'clock to 5-ish.
Yeah, I'm not ever in that mood. I don't care what time of year it is. I've spent plenty of time doing that. The old one where you would go down to the main branch.
Oh, yeah.
Right there off Woodrow Wilson. That's kind of like Walmart after midnight. You just don't know what you're going to get. In Oxford, there was a small little satellite place that we could go, and usually a buddy of mine and I we'd go get lunch and drink a couple beers and then go over there, and it was much quicker. But yeah, I think they've done a better job. I always wondered though, Lucian, if they made it so slow, just so you would buy like the 10-year or
that's possible.
The longer option.
Oh, that's the thing to do. I remember when they changed the law,
right.
Where you used to only be able to get a 4-year license, and now you can get an 8.
An 8, that's what it is.
And it is the thing to. If you think you got 8 years, you should buy an 8-year license. It's twice as expensive, but it's the same price you would pay over 8 years. You just don't expire for 8 years.
Right, and your glamour shot is frozen in there for 8 years.
That's right.
Yeah, you can look back like, man, I look good back then.
Well, they're doing a good job with that. So.
Well, and he also did a great job with trolling Lane Kiffin. I don't know if you saw the video.
I did see that.
That was classic. I actually was like, man, I wish I had his direct text line when I saw that. Yeah, the dog's like, this isn't even my dog. And I mean, that was really good. I appreciated that. He's got, I love Sean. He's a great guy.
He is a good guy. He's done a good job over there.
He really has, and he's always fun to talk to. He's got, such a good perspective on what the tasks are at hand, and seems to manage that as a CEO very well.
Absolutely.
Making sure everybody knows what they're supposed to do. I mean, I'm impressed.
Oh, I agree. And it's not an easy agency to manage.
Seems like it would morph into lots of different responsibilities that may not be in the job title.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. We've got a great show coming up. Andy Berry, who's the executive director of the Mississippi Beef Council and also a state senator, will be in at 7:30. And then Steve Azar, the host of In a Mississippi Minute, will be here in the 8 o'clock hour to talk a little bit about the Christmas special that he has starting tonight at 6 o'clock here on SuperTalk. So it is a good Christmas Eve day to have your radio tuned to C Spire or to watch us on C Spire TV.
Well, yes, I mean, as far as the weather goes for the next couple of days, if everybody is going to be in and out and having a big time, whatever it may be a great time just to sit by the, a gas fireplace and listen to Steve Azar.
Turn your air conditioning up.
Turn your air conditioner way up.
And then turn your fire on.
Yeah, in Greenwood, Delta area is going to be about 74 today. South winds, gusts probably around 20 miles an hour. It'll be cloudy tonight, partly cloudy, around 57. So kind of a little miserable day if you're in the deer stand at 74. Dress appropriately.
Take your wasp spray.
Going to be humid with wasps. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, gradually becoming sunny around 75 degrees. And then Wednesday night, partly cloudy, which is Christmas Eve. Santa, he'll be able to see just fine. 58 degrees, won't be burning up. Little breeze.
He's going to have to be in the undershirt flying around. I don't think the heavy red stuff's going to work.
No. He has to have like a Lululemon type of material or something. Christmas Day going to be 75 in the Delta. Let's see where we go from here. Meridian, same thing. Christmas Day, about 76. Similar weather as the Delta, so nothing really to change there. And then we got South Haven, North Mississippi. A little chance of drizzle before 8 a.m. this morning. Chance of precipitation is 30%. You got some winds of about 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the southwest, so it will not be a cold wind. Be around 70 degrees today, and some patchy fog this morning. So if you're in the northern corridor of Mississippi, be careful this morning getting around. Tonight, mostly cloudy, about 61 degrees. Christmas Eve, 75 on Wednesday. And then Christmas Eve night, 58. So, again, roughly about the same weather all across the state. And then Christmas Day in North Mississippi, 75 degrees. And same with Meridian area, sunny on Christmas Day, 76. And, again, not much rain or anything to worry about. The temperatures are going to be in that 55 to 70 375 range, depending on whether it's night or day, and a little light wind out of the south-southwest. So pretty much copy and paste weather for the next few days.
Was it my memories of childhood were that Christmas Eve was always cold?
I remember I was 12 and we had one where it was like 80. We're outside,
Okay.
and, in shorts and T-shirts running around, and it had been cold, and then it got cold again. But that window, it was weird.
Well, I think it's just how your brain works. You kind of crowd out. You create these memories that aren't necessarily real. But in my mind, it was always super cold on Christmas Eve.
I try to stick to the real memories, but I know I embellish at times.
Oh, totally.
Something changes.
Totally.
Your mindset, your memory takes you down another path where it didn't really happen.
Yeah, that's right. In my mind, though, it was always very cold on Christmas Eve, which I like. I mean, I generally prefer. I mean, it should be cold on Christmas Eve.
And it's funny because to me, I always remember, every Easter seems to be where you want it to be warm, but it's still cold enough where
that's
you're
a good point.
Ooh, man, it's a little chilly.
You kind of need to take that Easter cold, move it to Christmas Eve, and get it warm there. Y'all stick with us. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Since you're up early, you get the news first. Back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Juanita, my sweet Juanita, what are you up to? My Juanita, I said Juanita.
Good morning, y'all. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank. Rooted in community. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Well, as we were discussing in the last segment, it is Christmas Eve. It is December 23rd. You may have some shopping that you need to do out there. We're also talking a little bit about how warm it is this year.
Yeah, we got a snake crawling in North Mississippi.
I saw that. Yeah, you don't. It may be a better day for a round of golf than getting in a tree stand.
Trust me, this is as a duck hunter, somebody that gets out in the water. I like wading. I'm not one that likes confined.
You don't want
places.
the palace.
I don't like the confined places much. I mean, I'll get in them, but when I'm by myself, which normally I'd prefer hunting by myself, it's just more enjoyable to me to I'll start out in the blind,
and then wade out.
And if there's not many ducks, I'll just take a nap and watch some Netflix or something. But yeah, if it's moving, I like to get down in the water. And when the weather's like this, I'm not going to go probably because you got to put on so much gear. And by the time I get to the boat and then I'm sweating and soaking wet, and I'm like, why did I do this? Yeah, I could have just sat at the cabin.
Well, plus if it gets warm enough, I get worried about the reptiles starting to move.
That's the other side. At night, you're trying to get into the blind, and it's 70 degrees, and everything is swimming. And I can assure you it is. I've been in it, and it's just one of those. It's a little uncomfortable. I don't get uncomfortable much in the woods, but that's the one where I'm like, I had to build a bridge. It was about 60 feet long, a little gangplank. It was almost like if you were a pirate and you had done something wrong, you were going over the plank, off the plank. That's kind of the way this was. And it was about 2 feet wide, and it went about 60 feet. And I had to get out there in the summer and do it when the water was down. And I had to stack up crates, like wooden crates, in this mud. And it was 80 degrees. And
Oof.
I mean, there were snakes everywhere. And I mean, I had my pistol on. I was soaking wet, covered in Delta mud. And I got it done.
I'm not going to do it.
But it was one of those where you were looking over your shoulder every step you took, knee deep mud. And you're like, yeah, this is not ideal. So, yeah. But, again, I don't care much for this kind of weather to be out in the woods much.
Yeah.
Unless I've got on a bodysuit, maybe. And we had a great, the Mose said he sat at his kitchen table and renewed his license for 8 years today.
That's a good way to do it, the online option.
Yeah, I guess if your picture has been, and that was my question regarding that statement, is if your picture is recent enough, will they let you do it online? I don't know the restrictions.
That's a good question, but I guarantee you somebody on the C Spire text line can answer that question, and you can let us know at 601-879-4395. Shaq Bully in Biloxi did that to let us know it's the rut. You should get on your deer stand. That's a fair point.
Totally understand that, but you may have maxed out your deer hunting at this point.
Well,
some people have taken full advantage of that, and I understand. I wish I was in a deer stand over the last week and a half, though, in my backyard. 2 10 points.
Your backyard?
Yeah, 2 10 points that are as big as anything I've seen in the Delta on my land out there.
Goodness.
And I've been feeding them. But, in rut, you finally get to see them.
Right.
They get a little bit more bold, and they're proud of themselves.
Start easing out.
Yeah, they want you to know who they are,
Well, it is. We don't often do the designation of the day anymore, but it's Festivus today.
Thank you. Yes, I mean that is my favorite holiday.
Is it? You have a big Festivus celebration?
I have the pole and everything. The feats of strength, and we're going to wrestle.
I did not realize this, but apparently it was created by one of the writers on Seinfeld. But it was based on a holiday that they actually celebrated in their family.
Really?
Apparently they'd been celebrating it for. Like 20 years and calling it Festivus.
It would not surprise me with the writers of that show and the cast that somebody actually celebrated
exactly.
that was actually real.
Apparently it was a family holiday, and it was started by one of the writers' fathers, and he got a co-write credit on the show for coming in and sort of, I mean, clearly they hammed it up. I don't think they literally wrestled each other, but apparently it was a family deal.
The metal pole, like
exactly.
That's classic.
Well, you can renew. Go ahead. I think you got it there.
No.
You can renew, according to the C Spire text line. You can renew your driver's license online, but only every other time. I wonder if that works with the 8-year. Like, can I do an 8-year renewal next time?
I don't think so. That was I thought there was some kind of caveat to that, but thank you for the input. We had some birthdays today, if anyone's interested. I will say one interesting thing that happened on this day before we get into the birthdays. Way back in 1888, and this is one of those myths. Again, you never know if it's true or not, but this was the day that Vincent van Gogh cut off part of his own left ear. In 1888, after a heated argument with fellow artist Paul Gauguin, with whom he had been sharing a house in the south of France. Now, there's other rumors to what was going on in that house, but usually you don't just cut your ear off because the guy failed to pay rent.
Yeah, it wasn't because he neglected to replace the milk or something.
So, but reportedly he delivered his ear to a nearby brothel. Well, I wonder who was working at the brothel. So the story is very interesting, but it's always been debated for years. Art historians have debated the incident for decades, and I don't think anyone truly knows exactly what happened other than Van Gogh himself and maybe good old Paul.
Wasn't he allegedly consuming just massive quantities of absinthe also?
And hanging out in the brothels, I think. Yeah, that doesn't add up to sanity maybe, but your ear can come off that way.
I've gotten in a fight before, but I've never thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut my ear off to show that person.
Hey, but you look at the art and you go, this guy's probably not all there to begin with.
That's fair. I'm at no risk of creating anything like he's created.
I love the work. Don't get me wrong. I grew up in with a grandmother artist that was an impressionist, and so many of that era were those that were studied, and so I'm a very big fan of the work. But, a lot of them were a little loony.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Things that way, so that was one of the pieces. Also, I love Japanese names. They're so strong. Like, when you think about a culture, name a weak Japanese name.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you don't find one.
Everything's
very strong. Even the women names are very strong. Emperor of Japan, and I loved his name, Akihito. That's just strong right there. But his birthday, 91 years old. Let's see. You also had Joseph Smith. Now that whenever you're
the founder of Mormonism,
your title is American prophet. We have this debate every now and again, like, how do you get that? Do you just, when times go bad, basically his dad ran out of money, got popped in the crash of 1780s, which, there are those crashes. So family lost all his money, and apparently Mr. Joseph Smith, it came to him, and now he's a prophet all of a sudden.
That's right. Found the golden tablets out there.
Yes, and Moroni and all the great stuff. And what an interesting story, just from start to where they ended up. But, the Mr. Smith, he had a little bit of an interesting life, I would say. But his dad, like I said, lost all of his money. And so the line in "Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou" is what I always think of when I know that when I reread this story once a year is, you lose all your money, you're in a depression, then all of a sudden you see Jesus or Moroni and you're a prophet. What is the line in "Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou"? Tough times make a chump. Is that what it is? And so you never know, man. But I always found the whole creation story of the Mormon Church very interesting. And the New World religion,
right?
Almost. You don't have that. So at any rate, I'm not trying to offend any Mormons.
No. I don't know that. I mean, I know Joseph Smith's involved, and I assume Brigham Young is involved. I just don't know much about the history.
Well, yeah, Joseph Smith was the main guy, and then Brigham came in later, and it's just thinking of what they had to do to actually go from Massachusetts, and then they set up in Ohio, I think, and then
something like that. Ended out to
Utah, and the trail to get there. I mean, it was not an easy one, and then carving out a world out there in the middle of what you would call primitive and Indian country.
Sure enough, frontier out there. Yeah,
to be some tough folks, but beautiful building. I mean I think it's called a cathedral. Is it a tabernacle?
I think it's a temple.
Temple. That's right. The temple. That is a work of art, man.
Yeah, those buildings are something else. And and as I appreciate it, there's some things you like. There are meeting houses, but there are only a handful of temples out there, and I think you have to go to the temple for certain things. But I don't really know.
And I don't know the facts here. I've always read. Now, obviously, the Catholic Church is likely the most influential wealth-wise on the planet.
Right.
But I know that the Mormon Church has a huge
doing pretty well.
endowment and one of the richest churches on the planet.
Well, I bet somebody's going to send us a paragraph on the C Spire text line to educate us on the various questions we've asked here.
Yeah, whoever we've offended so far.
Y'all, this is Lucian Smith here with Lance on Mornings with Richard Cross. Stick with us. We'll have more coming up next.
From the woods, but those eyes don't sound so good. What do you do in this here ballroom? Say it ain't true, it ain't true. It ain't true. Let me lose. Say it ain't true, it ain't true. Let me lose. Say it ain't true. Let me lose.
Back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Christmas Eve is afoot and a great show ahead of us. Andy Berry, State Senator from District 35 and the Executive Director of the Mississippi Beef Council, will be with us. And then at 8 o'clock, Steve Azar, the one and only, will be with us to talk a little bit about the Christmas special that he has airing tonight at 6 o'clock here on SuperTalk Mississippi, where you can listen to lots of great Christmas favorites as you get ready for the season. If you've got C Spire TV, you can put it on Channel 70 and watch that Yule log burning and listen to some great music from Steve, or you can listen to it wherever you listen to SuperTalk. It's sort of a relatively slow season for sports, but you got any sporting news over there?
I got a couple of interesting things and then some sports. On this day in 1972, most folks will remember Franco Harris, a great running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who made the immaculate reception, dramatic catch that is regarded as one of the most famous plays in NFL history. Happened on this day in 1972. 82 crewmen of the USS Pueblo were released after being held in captivity for 11 months. Back in 1968, They were captured by the North Koreans. I don't remember that incident.
I don't either.
Yeah, the USS Pueblo. But I'm sure those out there, some folks will remember that one. And the one that I did a little digging in before we go to sports is early in the war, which was 1941, World War II, invading Japanese forces defeated U.S. troops at the Battle of Wake Island on this day in 1941. You go to look at Wake Island, and I love World War II history, especially the Pacific. There ain't nothing around Wake Island, brother. I mean, that's so if you want to know how far a Mississippi kid who had fought in that war had to go from Jackson or anywhere in Mississippi to Wake Island, how many miles do you think that was?
5,000?
7,500 miles.
7,500. Wow.
Yeah, and if you look at that little island, it looks picturesque. It's a beautiful little U-shaped island, 2 other little islands on it. It looks like great surf and fishing, but I don't think that's what they were doing those days. And if you really want to zoom into Wake Island today, as many other old U.S. World War II airfields, they're being restored. There's a lot of blacktop on Wake Island now, a lot of new buildings and things.
Can you go there now? I mean, is it a tourist destination?
Tiananmen, the island where they loaded the bomb that was dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, they're rebuilding it as well. Tiananmen. Wake is getting a makeover and new runways and all that. So a lot of ramping up in the Pacific and the old atolls and places like that. So
interesting.
Something you are interested in, pay attention. Google Earth is great for that. You can go.
That is so cool, the features you've got on there.
They don't have them blacked out. So America wants you to know, if you're China, hey, we're doing this, guys, just like China's doing much of the same. That was some of the just interesting things that I had in history, but we do have some sports to cover today. Let's start out with the NFL ball game last night between the 49ers and the Colts. Colts beat up, man. They got a.
It was not a great game.
Feel bad for Phillip Rivers, though. The weapons are just kind of beat up. The defense is beat up a little bit. San Francisco put it on them 48-27. Really put the pedal down in the second half on them too, limiting the Colts to 10 points. Phillip Rivers, not a bad game. They're 277, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Took 2 sacks for 23 yards. Riley Leonard came in and incompletion. But Brock Purdy, nice game last night. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Only took the sack. Really no yardage lost on that sack. And a 25 of 34 of 295. Christian McCaffrey, healthy, 21 of 117 on the ground. And 29 in the air as well. But watching him play, that dude's like a little lightning bug, man. Plus, he's pretty tough, pretty big, and is great out of the backfield. So, the Niners are looking good at 11-4. And when you are 7-2 on the road in the NFL, that's a heck of a record.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Is what it says. Now, I'm not sure if that's accurate, but at the end of the day, the Niners are looking strong here. We'll go through some the standings here pretty quickly. The Patriots are leading it in the AFC East 12-3. Right behind them are the Bills 11-4. The AFC North, Pittsburgh Steelers are 9-6, and they are 2 games over the Baltimore Ravens, who started terribly and have lost a game recently, but are still hanging on in there. That's my team. I love the Ravens. Had a rough year, though. In the AFC South, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars are 11-4, 1 game above the Houston Texans. In the AFC West, the Broncos lead it 12-3 over the Los Angeles Chargers of 11-4. Kansas City, for the first time in many, many years, I think it's how many years has it been? Somebody mentioned it the other day that they'd been to the playoffs, but they've been eliminated as well as the Vegas Raiders. And then you got in the NFC side, Philadelphia 10-5. I'm sorry, they're way above the Cowboys. Cowboys 6-8-1. They are eliminated, so Philadelphia's clinched the NFC East. NFC North, the Bears got that one locked down pretty much. It looks like Green Bay's behind them at a 9-5, but the Bears are 11-4. They've won a couple in a row and playing good football. NFC South, Carolina Panthers are at 8-7, and the Bucs are the only other team still in the game there at 7-8. So it's interesting to see how that NFC South comes together, because nobody's really good in that. That was in the Atlanta, New Orleans. If you'd have just been decent in that league, you could have probably taken the cake this year. NFC West, but I will say the Falcons, a very talented team, fun to watch, but again, short on wins. NFC West, Seattle Seahawks 12-3, and they're a game above both the 49ers and the Rams. So it really looks like the NFC West has the best grouping of teams in the league right now. And then you could probably go up to the AFC East and say much of the same thing there with the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. So 6, 7 teams out there looking really good, and the rest are kind of trying to find their way, and many have been eliminated so far. Had a Monday night football game last night on NFL, which we talked about. We also had a bowl game, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
I missed that one completely.
I had no idea I needed me some potato soup, I guess, and sit down. But Washington State and Utah State tied up. Washington State won that one pretty easily, 34-21. Zevi Eckhouse with 334 yards passing. Maxwell Woods, 117 on the ground, and Brady Boyd with 99 in the air. You got 3 games coming today. The one we really care about, I'll cover it last. But Toledo versus Louisville, 1 o'clock on ESPN. So if you're bored today and looking for something to do, that is something you can do right there, watching Louisville and Toledo. Barn burner game, Flagler Credit Union Stadium, Boca Raton for Bush's Boca Raton Bowl. There's a lot of going on there.
I don't know that it's appointment viewing, but you know, if you're looking for something to do.
That's a lot of words there. But then you got UNLV and Ohio at 8 o'clock tonight. That is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. Again, didn't know about Scooters Coffee, but glad we do now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now you do.
Yeah, now you know. And Western Kentucky and Southern Miss with top at 4:30.
It's
a
New
game
Orleans.
we've heard of, the
That's
New Orleans Bowl, in a place we've heard of, the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, 58.5 over-under. Western Kentucky is a 1.5 favorite. Now that line is tightened a little bit. And if you're in the area, and many will be down in the New Orleans area, it looks like you could get in the door for about $24-25.
Oh, that's nice.
Right now, and probably get a pretty decent ticket for that in such a huge place. So Western Kentucky and Southern Miss, good luck to the Eagles. I know that'll be a fun day, and much luck to you guys. Have a wonderful finish to the season. You know, good season, turned it around, and getting that 8th win would be a huge, huge thing for them.
And what TV channel is that on?
I was going to tell you that. I said all of the games today are going to be ESPN games, so you don't really have to search
you don't have to
too
change
hard.
the channel at all.
You don't have to. You just sit there and leave it on ESPN all day today, and if you're into football, that's what's going to happen. And then again, we'll highlight Mississippi State and Wake Forest. That's a few days away, January the 2nd, 7 p.m. ball game. That'll be a fun one as well, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And one of the things with that is just who gets the mayo dumped on them. That's I think one of the more fun things you get to do there.
And the second will be, is that a Friday?
See, now you're getting me on these numbers. Here, I can look real fast.
I think it is, because I think Christmas this year is a Thursday. So
you got New Year's is the Thursday, and so Friday is the 2nd, and Saturday is the 3rd.
There we go.
Yeah, so
there we go.
That's how it breaks down.
So you'll be able to ease into the weekend with that bowl game after watching the Rebels the day before in the Sugar Bowl.
I have the schedule pulled up. Let's see. I'm going to look at who's the last game of the year as far as those bowl games that we're talking about. It looks to me like State may be the last bowl game of the year. I thought that was the pecking order there. 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 o'clock ESPN game, Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City, and Mississippi State is a 2.5 point on that. Looking like the fave. That line has bounced around a little bit. 53.5 over under, so it looks like it'll be a scoring contest. Whoever brings the defense with them may have the angle there.
Well, that'll be a good way to round out the season.
It's a pretty good lineup that day. Rice and Texas State. Texas State had a heck of a season. Navy and Cincinnati. We saw Navy have a big game to finish out. Arizona and SMU. That'll be a solid game. And then Wake Forest, Mississippi State. So those are your last 4 bowl games other than playoffs.
And then, that's what I was going to ask. So then there'll be 2 more semifinal games that'll come after
Thursday the 8th, and then Friday the 9th. That'll finish up the semi-round. And then Monday, January the 19th on ESPN 6:30, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. That's going to be your national championship game. And that will be presented by AT&T.
There we go. Well, y'all stick with us. We got a lottery update coming up next here on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
from the on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Time for your Mississippi Lottery update, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery Corporation. Lotto America had no jackpot winner. The estimated jackpot for tomorrow, Wednesday, December 24th, is $10.41 million with a cash value of $4.78 million. The numbers from Monday, December 22nd were 1, 9, 18, 19, 44. The Star Ball was 2. The All-Star multiplier was 5. Powerball also had no jackpot winner. The estimated jackpot for Wednesday, December 24th, is $1.7 billion. That's billion with a B. The estimated cash value of that is $781 million. The numbers from Monday were 3, 18, 36, 41, 54. The Powerball was 7. And the Power Play multiplier was 2. Lance, have you bought your Powerball tickets yet?
No, I'm going to wait till right after the first, I think.
Okay.
Just, I went out on a limb here about 3 weeks ago, and I said it's not going to hit until after the first. So I've got to practice what I preach.
Be a heck of a Christmas Eve to draw down $1 billion roughly.
Yeah, as long as it'll probably be some California person that'll get it. And pay Gavin Newsom his ransom.
Well, goodness gracious! Yeah, hopefully we could use $1 billion winner here in Mississippi. I think.
I'd get all kind of hair gel and white teeth. My teeth would be so white you wouldn't even be able to look at me.
I tell you what. Mega Millions also had no jackpot winner. The jackpot for tonight, December 23rd, is $100 million. The numbers from Friday, December 19th, were 1, 11, 27, 39, and 59. The Mega Ball was 18. No jackpot winner on Mississippi Match 5. The jackpot for tonight is $60,000. The numbers from Monday's drawing were 20, 21, 22, 24, 25. Goodness.
That's some constant, was it in order almost?
Yeah, almost. No 23 there. That's the only thing it looks like they're missing.
That was my baseball number.
Oh, 23?
That's why I didn't play it,
Oh, there we go. There we go. A few folks here on Savannah's list. A Jackson player won $2,500 on a ticket from Supermart in Jackson. Players from Mendenhall and Woodville won $2,600 on Cash 4 tickets from City Tobacco and Vape in Mendenhall and Sprint Mart number 70 in Woodville. Hattiesburg man won $5,000 on a Cash 4 ticket from Break Time in Hattiesburg. An Irvington, Alabama man won $50,000 on a Match 5 ticket from the Oaks in Moss Point, and a Memphis, Tennessee man won $50,000 on a Powerball ticket purchased at Kroger 404 in South Haven. That's just a few happy people who have won playing the Mississippi Lottery. Remember, you cannot win if you do not play, but play responsibly. Some big numbers right there, and I imagine there's some people picking up tickets here as we get towards the Christmas season.
Yeah, feeling it. You gotta, start stuffing them in stockings and stuff.
That's right.
If you bought one and it hit, but you'd given it as a stocking stuffer, how do you feel about that?
That would be, that'd be frustrating. I remember my sister used to buy them because she lives over in Georgia. Even before we had a lottery, she'd buy tickets for us, but she never told us which one was ours. And I remember thinking, I hope we're sharing whichever one of those hits. But yes, that'd be quite the feeling, I would think.
Yeah, if somebody you give it away and they win, and it's the big money, or even $100K.
I think there was a movie in the 90s about this, where maybe somebody promised his waitress half of his lottery winnings as a tip.
That. Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw it, but I remember seeing the previews for it.
I'm trying to remember the guy's name.
It was
Josh Duhamel or something like that.
Something like that. Clearly, it was a great movie, since you and I can't remember anything about
probably
it.
Probably Lifetime.
Well, nearly half of U.S. workers at this point are already checked out for the year. A lot of folks are trying to do, according to a report, the bare minimum over the rest of the year. But one person who's not checked out is you, Lance. You're about the hardest working man in show business.
Man, I just enjoy hanging out with all you guys and all of our wonderful listeners across Mississippi and in many other places. So, yeah, it's just fun to do this. I don't know what else would I do, huh? Go hunting. It's 78 degrees, man.
But somebody up in Nicolas Cage, somebody says on the C Spire text line was who was in that movie. We'll have
Nicolas Cage. Okay,
we'll have to do a deep dive here over the commercial break and have good solid answers for you. In the
multitasking.
7 o'clock hour.
I was sitting here thinking about Andy Berry's title, not the representative or the elected official title, but the Mississippi Beef Council. Man, can you imagine? I mean, being the head of that.
I have to think right now there's a lot of beef being purchased.
Yeah, that and two, you got to have an inroad on the good stuff.
That's a very good point. He's going to have to bring some recipes for us today.
So he's not coming in? What? I'm going to have to get on him about this. We'd have some steaks, the big porterhouse or something he'd be bringing.
I hope. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't had breakfast yet, so if he's listening and wants to bring in some good cooked beef for breakfast, nobody's going to complain.
Well, and back in like the 40s and 50s, didn't they drink like coffee and eat a steak and eggs for breakfast? I mean, that was the good old days.
Hey, I'm not mad at it. Not mad at it at all. Y'all stick with us. We'll have more here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard. Coming up next is Fox News, followed by Super Talk Mississippi News.
Your home.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
On your radio, on our app, or on your smart speaker. We're always free. Super Talk Mississippi. Your home for Mornings with Richard Cross.
Good morning, y'all. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Well, as usual, the C Spire text line has all of the answers. The movie we were talking about in the last segment was It Could Happen to You, which was we were talking a little bit in the lottery update about a movie whose name we couldn't remember from the 1990s, the story of which, as I appreciate it, is a New York policeman offers to split his lottery winnings if he happens to win them with a waitress. And
Bridget Fonda. Listen to the cast in this. Nicolas Cage, Bridget Fonda, Rosie Perez, Isaac Hayes is the narrator and plays a part in it. Seymour Cassell, Stanley Tucci. Now, that is one.
That is quite the cast.
And I remembered it being, I couldn't get the lead on that, but I knew it was a cop. I remembered that, but outside of that, in 1994 was when that movie was released. So
I've not seen it. I remember it, but
I don't know if I've watched the whole thing. It seems. I'm much more of a. That's very romantic and.
It's not high on my list.
Yeah,
there's some of these great movies that I've not seen that I feel like I need to go back and watch. I'm not sure this is going to be towards the top of that list.
May not be, unless you win the lottery, right?
Well, then I got that's right. I got a lot of time at that point.
Exactly. You'll have plenty of time.
Well, this hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you are not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Call today at 601-206-7966 or go to mwgemployerservices.com.
I had one thing we had yesterday. We were talking about mammals and papaws.
Oh, yeah.
And, how you could get healed by just going out in the yard and they pick
right.
something and make a concoction. I don't know if any of our listeners have found that X or probably Instagram and all of them, I've gone down a rabbit hole lately of all these little tricks they call grandpa's tricks that actually work or something. I mean, if you're interested, though, there is a wealth of little tricky stuff out there that, like how to do this and how to do that. And it's very interesting. I don't know what I clicked on about a week ago, but I mean, I'm getting tons of this stuff. And I research so many different things for the shows that I do, especially Garden Mama and Handyman.
Right.
You got some interesting kind of mix of gardening and building stuff and cleaning this and doing that. But folks, if y'all are bored, go out on X and just type in like grandpa's tricks that work. And there is some really cool, like when you have a rug, like an heirloom or something, a heavy rug that's kind of rolled back at the corner. How do you fix that? I mean, there's just some. And
do you have that solution?
Yeah, you just take ice.
Really?
And stick it on where it bends up, and over time it'll pull it down.
And it doesn't ruin the rug? I guess you wrap the ice up pretty good.
No, you just put the ice on it, and then you dry it off pretty quick right there.
Really?
Just clean ice. But, I mean, certain things like that where you're going, how do I fix it? How do I do this? Cellophane. Instead of going and getting the rug runners that you slide around underneath it, take Reynolds Saran Wrap, put it down underneath it, and then put your rug on top of it. And that keeps it from – so there's so many little helpful things like that if you are interested in solutions to common problems, I've tried a bunch of these. They actually work. I mean, this is not like AI generating some junk. I mean,
right.
There's some really helpful things on there. We try to highlight some of these on Saturdays on the Handyman Show, but I found so many of them lately that it's like, wow. I challenge our listeners to get out and kind of look and come up with show me something that you have used or tried that works that you would go, I had no idea.
Well, this seems like another great use of the C Spire text line.
Yes.
If you've got a folk remedy or a way to fix something that isn't obvious, send it to us at 601-879-4395 and we'll very possibly talk about it on
I
here.
love it. This time of year, though, you get everybody comes together. You got the mamas and papas and nieces and nephews, and this is when all that stuff happens. As I was telling you funny stories yesterday about mama and papa and the cats, and some of my greatest memories are of this week in life. I mean, I played college ball, been all over, done some really fun things, but I can tell you some of the most poignant and pointing and clean memories I have are this week right now where you get to share so much. Some folks you really don't want to see, but you see them anyway, and most of them you do. But there's so much information that exchanges during this time, and it's. I wish we were more that way the other 11 months and 3 weeks.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm like you. I'm blessed to have had a great childhood, wonderful parents, great family, and as a result, I've got these incredible memories of Christmas of just. It's not the gifts, although I know I was thrilled about the gifts, but it's sitting around, listening to stories, hanging out with family, and just the sort of slowness of the season and being able to spend time together. And those are they really are just wonderful, wonderful memories. And you want to, you hope people are still able to do that.
It's just a special time of year. It really is. And I hope everybody gets a chance to, reflect a little bit and kick the feet up and enjoy. And because the hustle and bustle, it'll pick back up.
Oh, yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back.
January 2, everything will be back to normal again.
Well, and we've talked about this. There are a lot of people who this is still a busy season, whether they're, working in some sort of retail customer service business or law enforcement, first responders, military, lots of different folks who will be working. But for so many people, this is, I think of it almost as the weekend of the year, right? This is kind of a multi-day Saturday where expectations are lower. You're able to kick back and enjoy time with your family, and it's a special time. But you're right. It's coming. January's going to be here. But Monday morning it's coming.
2026 before you know it. So let's ring it in right. And, you have that Labor Day to Memorial Day window where that's your summer. That's
right.
The travel times, and everybody goes to the beach or does that kind of family stuff. But this time of year, you're much more confined. You get more, you're under a roof. You actually have to engage and do things and, and deal with people a little bit closer. So it is that time of year, I think, where you're so much more proximate
True.
And you know that the end is here. You know the end of the year. You got to ring it in. New Year's is right here. And if anybody, I'm curious out there if anybody has any big New Year's plans. What's the biggest New Year's plan you got? I don't have much of anything planned. Maybe deer camp it, go up there. You have anything in mind that you're going to do?
No, I'll watch some football. And, I hadn't made it to midnight.
It's been a couple of years.
In ages.
I've done it, yeah.
And I used to enjoy doing it, even just sitting at home and waiting up till midnight and watching the ball drop. But
11.
Yeah, that's right. But when you've got kids, mine are all under 10. None of them are to the sleeping in phase of youth. They're, if we make it to 6 a.m., it's a banner day, and that takes a little of the shine off of staying up till 12:30 to watch all the. Watching a bunch of celebrations. It's kind of go to bed at 10 o'clock, say Happy New Year over coffee in the morning.
What is now on Christmas Day? And I fail here because I don't remember. Is there a big? I know there's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade on Thanksgiving Day, right? But is there anything that happens on Christmas Day like that?
Oh, that's such a good question. I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember there being any.
I know the big parade is Thanksgiving. I just don't remember. I know you got the big tree lighting in New York, which has been done, but I don't remember anything that happens. Monumentally here on Christmas Day. It's pretty laid back.
Somebody is bound to be coming up. I mean, maybe football's the answer, but you got to think somebody's coming up with a reason for people to turn their televisions on.
Well, yeah, and I was just reading, this time of year you got over in Russia, and it's Christmas everywhere, right? Wherever you have Christians, and it's Christmas everywhere. But Russia and Ukraine are ramping it up. Apparently a general over in Russia was assassinated yesterday.
Car
bomb, right? The third of a senior military officer. So they're not slowing down over there. It's even with all the season, it's still
there's no Christmas truce coming in that war.
No, and that's one of the things that always has kind of gotten me about this war is that Russia complains that Ukraine has killed a few of their leaders over the last year. It's like, dude, you invaded them. I mean, what'd you expect them to do? Sit around and just take it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Again, I'm not in the middle of this war, but that doesn't seem very logical for one country who did the invading to be really upset at the other country who's popped a few of their generals in the last year in Russian territory, but yet you invaded the other people. Again, I'm not picking winners and losers here, but it seems a little bit kooky when you got a president and a whole administration going, yeah, they're the bad guys.
I guess their argument, I think if you target officers, that may be a war crime, but I also think targeting civilians is a war crime, which the Russians have been credibly accused of as well.
Pretty much wiped out the whole eastern part of the country.
Right.
So, I mean, what are we talking about?
No, I'm with you. Y'all stick with us. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable, where you come first for news, fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard Cross here on Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Well, have you followed the controversy at all with 60 Minutes over the last 24 hours?
What happened?
It really is such a great example of the changing landscape in media and the way that a lot of these old gatekeepers on what's true and what's acceptable are being pushed aside and kind of watching them lose it. So Barry Weiss was brought in over the summer to be the editor-in-chief of the news division of CBS. Mm-hmm. And there was a story that 60 Minutes was supposed to run, I want to say yesterday, that was about the treatment of some of the people we've sent to Secot prison in El Salvador. Mm-hmm. And there's been some reporting earlier that the conditions there are pretty horrific. There have been allegations of torture of some of the people that have been sent there. I mean, it's not a good story. And she, even after it had been advertised, didn't let the story run. And the reporter who was responsible for it leaked her emails to the media where essentially she was making the claim that this was all political, that Barry Weiss was doing this to protect the Trump administration. Now, to put it in context, Barry Weiss is not a conservative. She is a progressive on a number of issues, but she has not hewed to the sort of right think that the American media and that the left tells you have to do. She wrote a story about 5 years ago that was very critical of DEI in American private schools, and has since set up her. She left the traditional media to set up her own outlet. But she's certainly not a conservative. But she is somebody who has not taken the talking points from the DNC and run with it like so many people in the traditional media in this country. And as a result of that, she's just loathed by a lot of reporters and people on the left who have evolved, I think, to view the mainstream media as essentially being their way to achieve their own political objectives under the guise of reporting the news. And so this story broke, and the suggestion was that she was trying to protect the Trump administration. Her memo, the memo that Barry Weiss has sent out, has since been also leaked. And you read the memo. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but essentially she wants the reporting to be done. She's asking for it to be done better. She says in there, the New York Times has already reported this. We need to advance this story by getting additional facts. We don't have anything from the administration on this. I've since seen it reported that the administration did give her quotes, but the piece that was put together didn't have it from them. And it has also the reporter who's behind it, who leaked it, was responsible for one of the deeply dishonest anti-DeSantis stories back during the COVID period that suggested he was steering vaccines to Republican donors with a bunch of very selectively edited facts and quotes. And so, I think what you had here is somebody at 60 Minutes who probably was trying to do a hit piece on the Trump administration. And there may be valid, it sounds like from what we know about the prison there's some very valid criticisms of the choice to send folks there. But here you had a reporter or had an editor who was actually trying to get the story done better, get it done correctly, and not allow 60 Minutes to just be a political hit piece. But the folks on the left, and I include in that most of these conventional reporters, have gone absolutely crazy about it. They've suggested she's some sort of Nazi stooge, that this is all political. And what's amazing is what their perception of being political is her efforts not to be political, because they look at these mainstream media outlets as an opportunity to attack conservatives, to attack Republicans, and advance Democratic Party politics. And so here, she tried to make it a more true, balanced story, and the effort from the left has been to just absolutely denounce her. And it just goes to show. Same reason that they hate Elon Musk for buying Twitter. All of a sudden he's going to let people express free thought on the internet and not have it censored in order to get the right talking point said. And folks on the left go absolutely nuts because this has been their real political superpower for ages, that they control so much of the channels of thought, and losing it to people like Elon with X and Barry Weiss with CBS is I think just destroys them, because different views are able to get out there and be heard, and stories aren't selectively edited to make conservatives look bad.
Well, one question I have for you, and you being in the legal world, the antitrust laws, 1890 Sherman antitrust laws?
Right.
It seems to me that we've kind of forgotten that we don't like monopolies in this country. Let's look at Paramount for a second. Paramount Pictures, CBS Studios, Nickelodeon Productions, Showtime, MTV, Paramount Animation, Paramount Players, CBS, including CBS News and Sports, The CW, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, Comedy Central, VH1, CMT, TV Land, Logo, Pop, Smithsonian, Paramount, Pluto, Sky Show, Time, so on and so forth. Now, My question to you is, where's the competition? When we allow companies to merge and control the means of pretty much all media, wouldn't we be considering something like a monopoly here? And let's say there's 3 companies that own everything. How do you get unbiased reporting if those 3 companies are going to be biased? And in that part of what, obviously we didn't want monopolies and, unfair and price fixing, but on the other side is, I don't think we talk about it, is controlling narrative.
Well, that to me, that's the biggest problem. I mean, I think on the pure antitrust analysis, I think the argument's probably there's so many different sources of news, whether it's people being able to communicate on social media, et cetera, that market is still fairly diffuse. But I think the issue, to your point, is it's control. It's that monopoly on the narrative, and it is people who. Nowadays, everybody lives in the coast, lives in sort of the same zip codes, who are these reporters with national outlets. Another phenomenon that I think has happened is because so much of the national news is coming out of D.C. and New York, which are incredibly expensive places to live. The only way most young reporters are able to go get a start in that industry is if they come from families where you've got a mother and a father who are able to say, well, look, we'll pay for your rent in New York so you can go work for one of these outlets. And so you're getting increasingly this tiny little segment of the American population that's going into national media. And, they all come from elite zip code. Not all. I'm sure somebody can find a counterexample.
The same way. Let's look back in 1980. 14,460 banks were listed on the FDIC register. Okay, you know how many banks we have today in the U.S. in 2025? 4,400.
There's been a lot of consolidation.
10,000 banks have gone by the wayside, and now you have a handful that really lead again, and those are run by most of the same types of folks, elites and very well educated. And
right.
Again, I'm not complaining. I'm saying it seems to me we've gotten away from looking at the bigger picture sometimes and seeing how that narrative can be controlled. Not necessarily just the business model, but what's coming out of these entities if they get so large, so big, that you're getting bias. You're getting some.
You're getting people, especially
the pendulum swings over one side, and that's it.
That's right, and that's why I think people were so mad with Barry Weiss being put in at CBS because. Again, not a conservative. I mean, this is not somebody who I think voted for Donald Trump. This is somebody who I think recognizes that there is this groupthink and that there ought to be a real effort made to give other views, other points of view, an opportunity to be aired, to be challenged. And folks on the left hate that because they think the media is supposed to tell them that they're supposed to just use these left-wing talking points and use narratives that support these kind of left-wing political political objectives, and so they're understandably just terribly mad at the idea that somebody else is going to come in and try to have things be a little bit more fair and balanced. But I think to your point, it's folks who they're so disconnected from huge parts of the country that they believe that a lot of those attitudes and views are
prevalent.
Well, and I think they think sort of conservative views are not just wrong, but bad, and therefore, they shouldn't be given an opportunity to be heard.
You're a little younger than I am, but I'm being 51. I don't remember a time where there's been so many different aspects of normal society and daily life that are polarized.
Yeah,
they're so polarized.
Well, everything's
Muslim
political.
Or Christian or Jew. I mean, there's the labels. Man, we need to be handing out label makers for Christmas. The labels are flowing, brother. Do you remember a time in our history, in your life, where there's been more labels stuck on people and things and causes?
No, you're right.
Just seems like we're real good at marketing a cause, and the label is kind of like the title.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Now everything is sort of politicized, and it makes it difficult to just enjoy normal, you didn't think about what are the politics of this singer's music when we were kids or teenagers.
Thank
just
Colin
sort of
Kaepernick.
Yeah, exactly. Everything has gotten political. Well, y'all stick with us. We are coming up on a break, but coming in next is Senator Andy Berry, senator from Copiah, Jeff Davis, Lawrence, and Simpson counties, and the executive director of the Mississippi Beef Council. Stick with us for more.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Where you come first for news. Fast and free. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
We chased Lady Luck till we finally struck Bonanza. With a gun and a rope and a hat full of hope, we planted our family tree. We got a hold of a pot full of gold Bonanza. With a horse and a saddle and a ring full of cattle, how rich can a fella be? On this land we put our brand, our pride is the name. Fortune smile.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lucian Smith, in for Richard here on Mornings on Super Talk, Mississippi. We have with us in studio Senator Andy Berry. Andy, how you doing this morning?
I'm great. I'm just Andy, and I couldn't ask for a better intro. Thank you there, Lance. That's a great
I do what I can do, sir.
Lance is Johnny on the spot with that music right there. I appreciate it. Y'all ready for Christmas at the Berry household?
You know, I think we are. I think we've got one package hung up somewhere on Santa's Amazon sleigh, but other than that, I think we're good.
I'm 15 days in on one. I've been watching. It's a sport now.
It's that time of year. Every day you check out what the new estimated arrival time is. Well, you know, the thing about Christmas. Not the most important thing about Christmas, clearly, but it is a reminder that y'all are coming back here in a couple of weeks.
It's coming quick.
Are you ready for the next session?
You know, ready or not, it's coming. And I had lunch with a colleague yesterday, and that's what we said. You know, it's here. It's you blink your eye, and it's here. Christmas is going to go by real quick, and I think it's January 6th we're coming back.
I think that's right.
I've already got a notification of a couple of committee meetings scheduled, so it's about to happen. That Monday morning hits you hard. It does.
What are your priorities coming into this session? What are you looking to make sure happens?
You know, I'm still kind of a lower level guy, so I don't have a lot of say in what happens down there just yet. But you know, agriculture is, of course, a focus of mine, and that leads into property tax discussion that most all of my votes are kind of centered around. Is there a property tax influence here that could potentially cause our counties to have to raise taxes on our landowners, our business owners, our farmers, and so that's something that I'm looking at. You know, there's the common threads of what's being discussed down there, and you know, we'll see what comes with when we see the actual bills of all these ideas that's been talked about for the last 6-8 months.
On the property tax front, the concern is that some of these correct me if I'm wrong, this is a question, not a statement, but the concern is that some of these tax cuts at the state level will cause the counties to have to raise taxes because they're not getting as much in the way of funding.
And I think it's more than just tax cuts. I think when you look at any other potential, rule or regulation that we place that causes the counties to have to spend more money, that's a kind of an unfunded mandate sometimes. We want to look out for that, make sure we're not passing the unnecessary costs down to that we're not, if we're passing law, making them do it, we probably need to provide some type of mechanism to fund it so that they're not having to raise their taxes. Because that's truly the only way they've got to come up with some money is through the property tax.
Right. Which I would assume hits folks in agriculture particularly hard.
It takes a lot of land to grow crops.
Right.
So, timber or cattle or row crops, whatever it is, you look up in the Delta, and there's, that's really the primary mechanism for most of those counties is their property taxes to fund their local governments.
So clearly there have been a fair number of discussions about this coming legislative session. We've heard from the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker. What do you see as being the top couple of issues that are, there always seem to be in a legislative session that the one or two things that are the topic. It was tax cuts for a while. I think education is going to be a piece of it. What do you see going into 25 as being the dominant issues over there?
Just based on what I've heard coming from this studio, it's going to be education. It's going to be a school choice component to that, and there's some different opinions about how far the state needs to go in that discussion, but it's coming, and I think you're going to see some action out of both chambers pretty early on. I would suspect in the first week or two, you're going to have some bills passed to address those conversations that's been had, and and the same thing. I'm concerned about some of those those measures and how they would affect local counties on school choice. If you lose a lot of your school kid population, and you still got to operate schools in those counties where you might would have lost kids. So that's something to look at. Generally speaking, without seeing a bill, I think I could support the portability portion where you are able to transfer districts, and the district can't hold you. Or you can't force a receiving district to accept a student, but you certainly can't hold one back. And I think that makes a lot of sense from a couple different conversations. Geographic is one. Little town I grew up in, one county line was also the city limits, and so you had people that could hear the football game band playing on Friday night that had to drive 15, 20 miles to another school because they lived across that line. They could see the lights, hear the noise from the town, but they couldn't go attend that school. And so, in that case, they would have taken them, but just because of the school district, they had to go somewhere else. So those type of conversations make a lot of sense. And there's other concerns, I think, that somebody may work in a different community, and their life is
they're driving from one district to another for work.
That may work at a plant or somewhere, and they need to just make their life easier to transfer. So those are the type of things I think that I certainly could support. It gets much past that, and I have a little bit more of a heartburn about some of those things. But again, a lot of this is theory, and
right until you see a bill.
Until I see the bill, it's hard to come down and say that I'm for or no. But by and large, that's kind of the extent that I support school choice.
And so people, for folks who aren't following it as closely, and I imagine most of the folks who listen to mornings are read in on this pretty significantly. But you're talking about under current law, if you live in one school district and want to attend a different school district, both districts have to say yes.
Yeah,
so this would be about
the district that you're in has to release you. And in some parts of the state, I don't think that's an issue. But other parts of the state, I had a call last week from a constituent that they couldn't get their grandson released. And one of those situations, geographically and convenience of work, it made some more sense for them to go to the school, but they couldn't get released. And so that's the type of thing that I think we could certainly work on and try to help and improve for Mississippians.
But when we move to the public school, more private school choice, that's one of the places where you're a little more hesitant.
I think I have a lot more hesitation to go that far for a number of different reasons, and mainly is how is the state going to pay for that? If you start providing vouchers for every private school person, that's a lot of money, and I think that the Private School Association is hesitant to fully accept that. I think they're fine with that without the accountability model of testing like the regular state students do. So I don't see that changing. So I don't know why we would go down that route right now.
Do you have a sense, and obviously a lot of 52 members of the Senate, 122 members of the House, so tough to predict with any absolute certainty this far out, but do you think, my sense is that the current Speaker's position is further than that.
I would agree.
Do you think there is a chance we end up with compromise this session on it, or do you think the two chambers are so far apart that we probably won't get to something?
I don't know. That is a good question. I would hope. I remind myself and some colleagues from time to time that our system is made to compromise. That's why we have the two chambers, and legislation is best done when there's a compromise there. So I would hope we would be willing to move a little bit on both sides, maybe, and see where we wind up. You generally wind up with a better piece of legislation when you've had multiple folks look at it and study it and try to come up with the compromise that works for everybody. And I heard someone mention earlier a few months ago that the Senate just represents a larger population of districts, so you kind of have to be more flexible in what you're doing, where the House kind of has a small subset that probably reflects their views a little closer, and so it's easier to kind of hold a stand over there than it is in the Senate.
Well, it's going to be, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's going to be the defining issue of this session.
Yeah, and I would say this, that I travel the state with my job and speak to groups, and when I bring this up, I don't get a lot of passionate response one way or the other about this. It's not something that I have seen that has been kind of a top-of-mind issue for most Mississippians. So I don't know that it's that big a deal by and large to the general population, but there are places where it makes a lot of sense for people, and if we can help people, that's what we need to do.
What are there any other than education? Do you think there's any other sort of marquee legislative items next year?
I think the PERS is something that we're going to have to address in some manner. It's something that concerns a lot of people and affects a lot of people, and it's a passionate issue. And that's no secret to you or anybody else listening. And we heard from constituents a couple of years ago to leave the PERS board alone and listen to the PERS board, and so we did that and tried to put some money in and make some changes to make sure the people in the system get what they were promised, and that's all I think we tried to do last year. And well, if there's a few little problems with that, so maybe we come back and address those this year.
You stick with us for one more segment?
Yeah.
Y'all, this is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Stick with us for more with Senator Andy Berry coming up next.
I was shaking at the knees. Could I come again, please? Yeah, the ladies were too kind. You've been thunderstruck. 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 Thunderstruck.
From the heart of Mississippi to the halls of Washington, D.C. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on Super Talk Mississippi.
Morning, y'all. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Remember, Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Well, Senator Andy Berry is still with us. We were talking a little bit about PERS before the break. So y'all have made some pretty significant changes to the system for new hires, right?
Correct. After March 2026, anybody then will go into a Tier 5, which changes it more to a earned benefit versus defined like the old Tier 1 through 4 were. And so that added some years of service, and that kind of moved it more to an earned benefit versus that defined, where it kind of resembles a 401k, and I think there's a little portability there. But they're still contributing to the PERS system, those new employees will be. And so we heard a little pushback about that's going to be harder to recruit for, future state employees, not having that. We heard from different sectors of state governments, the law enforcement, the first responder folks, took a bit issue to that. And what I'll say is, we were trying to make sure what we did last year that we protected the people that were already in the system.
Right.
And that's what I think is the number one goal. The state made a promise to those employees. I'm in PERS now too. The state made a promise to me just like it did to them, and we need to make sure that the state can fulfill that promise when and how it was promised. And so if we need to make tweaks going forward, we'll do that. The PERS system we hear routinely is severely underfunded. That didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in 1 year, and so I think it's understandable that it may take us more than 1 or 2 years to fix that. I think we've heard from both sides of the chamber up there, the House and the Senate, that there's going to be an effort to infuse some money in that for a couple of different plans, and we'll see what works out with that. But some significant money going into that to help shore up the system from the state, and then we'll look at if we need to make some tweaks to the tier system that we created last year. But the main thing is we're going to pump some money in there to make sure that thing is on good sound footing.
Well, and that I think is the important point, that nobody's taken away the promises that have been made to current employees, current retarees, and two, y'all are aware that we need to find money to go in there to make sure those benefits are paid.
This is a great example of a representative government. We hear from the people that this affects, and I think you'll see some response. And just be courteous and polite with us, and just tell us your concerns, and we'll certainly work to try to do that to fix what's there. Nothing's ever perfect. I'm not perfect, and nobody else is either, and so we'll do what we can to make sure that we take care of the public like we're supposed to.
I do hear from folks at agencies, and I recognize there's strong views on both sides of this, but that unlike 20 years, 20 years ago it was pretty common. People came to state government, and that was the bargain, right? Like you're going to make less money than the private sector, but 25, 30 years in, you're going to be able to retire and be guaranteed a retirement benefit for the rest of your life and for your spouse. And that nowadays, young people, just the tradition of going and working somewhere for 30 years just isn't what it used to be. People move around a bunch, and it's that top dollar number they're looking at.
That's we hear that also from agencies. That's not always entirely the case. Some people are called to do a particular profession that's involved in state government, but a lot of the younger generation, they're trying to get some experience. They're trying to get a little time in, and then they're looking to improve themselves with more pay. And I think that would help most any state employee is we pay them more.
Right.
That's another concern is how do we fund that? But any of them would. I don't think anybody would turn down a raise along the way.
No, I think that's right. Well, in the couple minutes we got left, let's talk some beef. This is sort of a beef. I mean, every year is a beef season, but this seems like every season's a beef season. This seems like particular time for some beef.
Yeah. So I heard y'all talking earlier this morning on the way in. I forgot my samples, the steak lengths. I'm sorry. I left them on the counter this morning. I'll have to swing back by here, but. One thing I would tell people, there's a couple, beef's a little bit higher than it's been in the last few years. Ground beef is not that much higher. We've heard President Trump talk about high beef prices, but really ground beef is just a few cents higher than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Prime rib is a great, easy, wonderful cut of meat to have for your holiday dinner. You can buy prime rib. You can even take it out, buy the whole loin. A rib loin is what I'm talking about. You can cut that down in whatever size sections you want. Kind of figure about an inch or so per person to serve that, but you can cut it in half, and you can make steaks out of one half. You can make the prime rib roast out of the other. Stick it in the oven, stick it on the grill, smoke or whatever, and have a great cut of meat there.
And people get intimidated by a prime rib, but they shouldn't be.
So easy. It is so easy, and I want to mention a couple other little cuts there that I enjoy. That's probably a little cheaper than your name brand ribeyes or strips. And a hanger steak. A hanger steak is one of the most flavorful steaks. It used to be called the butcher steak. It came from like the diaphragm of the animal, and it is a very flavorful steak. You kind of cook it high and fast, and a little bit. It takes marinade real well. You can eat it just as I had some of the United Steakhouse just as a entree, but you can also cut it up and put it on a sandwich or a taco or something like that. Same thing with like a flank or a flat iron. Those are kind of lower price steaks that give you a good eating experience as well.
I buy anytime I see a chuck eye in a butcher shop. I grab them.
Yeah,
that's great flavor, not super expensive.
That's poor man's ribeye right there.
You got any final thoughts before we go to break?
No, just be patient with us down there at the legislature. I think everybody there wants what's best for the state of Mississippi and for Mississippians, and it just takes a little while to work through the process sometimes.
Stick with us. We'll have more coming up right after this.
This is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on Super Talk Mississippi.
It's gonna be a catfish Christmas. Santa's on the lake. He's trading his whip for fishing pole and a John boat for his sleigh. With a red life jacket and a tackle box, he's bringing his ice chest bill to the top. It's gonna be a catfish Christmas, reeling in the holiday.
Good morning, y'all. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. We have with us on the line, I believe, Steve Azar. Okay, we were. I heard us having some audio problems during the break there, Steve. I'm glad you're with us.
Lucian, it worked yesterday for Gerard, and for some reason you and I don't have a chance in heck, I guess. So sorry about that.
It's my fault. Blame it on me.
No, do not apologize. I'm just glad with everything you got going on. I'm glad you're with us.
I got myself as pretty as I could be this early in the morning, and y'all don't get to see it. So that's good for everybody.
That's a good.
Hey, no, we're on. Hey, we have video, so don't think that you're just on the phone, brother. We can see that hair and those hairy legs,
and that great looking space behind you. Those are some good looking guitars there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So what's been up?
Just getting ready for your special tonight, 6 o'clock Christmas special. Tell us a little bit about it, Steve.
Well, I'm excited. Will East and I have, I guess we've decided to take over the airways a little longer than usual. I think we did this a few years ago, started earlier, and we love it so much. It's so much fun, and grateful for getting to do it. I think I've done this every year I've been on the air, so heading into my 9th year, this should be Mississippi Christmas number 8, and it's always, I'm grateful, Team SuperTalk allows me to do this and to spread Christmas cheer for that long. So I think we started we started at 6 p.m. on the 23rd,
tonight.
Is that right?
And how long does it go, Steve? Is it clear through Christmas?
Well, it goes too long, but that's okay.
I don't think it goes too long.
No, it's good, man. We're excited about it, and it goes a couple days, so we'll be people will go, is Steve still on the air? I mean, what's going on here? But I feel like we got like the best variety of Christmas music anywhere on earth, and you get it all from Andy Williams to Elvis Presley and B.B. King, and obviously a lot of our greats in Mississippi. So you're going to hit a heavy dose of Mississippi artists with all the Christmas records they made in the past, and at the same time, you're still going to get the Bing Crosbys and a lot of the modern music as well. So we sort of capture and encapsulate our Mississippi Christmas, and because we influence the world. We're the birthplace of America's music, and this is the time we sort of get to celebrate it, because everybody we're playing probably had a significant amount of influence in their musical career from our hallowed ground of Mississippi. So that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, I think it's great that we do it, too, because, you get around this time of year, and I love all of our content, but, I don't know that on Christmas Eve, do you want to listen to heavy, serious political content? I mean, to me, that's you kind of want to throw the feet up, look at a fire, even if you got to turn the air conditioning on so that you can enjoy a fire and listen to some good Christmas music.
Yeah, I don't understand the weather pattern we've had. We've had some 70-something degree Christmases, and for all my golfer buddies out there, they'll be leaving their families and slipping out on the golf course. But
I was thinking the same thing. I have a feeling I've got an afternoon worth of errands ahead of me, but I thought I would dress for it just in case it worked out.
That is funny. That's funny. You're going to be prepared. I love instead of getting up in your Christmas pajamas that you bought 20 years ago.
Right.
You get to all of a sudden you're wearing some brand new Murray Brothers apparel, and everybody's going like, "Why are you dressed already?"
So talk to us a little bit about what kind of music people can expect when they tune in.
Well, like I said, a heavy dose of Mississippi. If you're listening to Christmas music in Texas or anywhere else in the world, or anywhere else in the country, you're not going to get a significant amount of Mississippi artists. And so we're going to be heavy loaded there. But like I said, we're going to play everything else that everybody else plays. So that separates us. Also, I've got a lot of stories from my friends in the entertainment business talking about their most vulnerable Christmas moment. So they, and usually it's when they're a kid before they were ever a star or before they're ever known by the public. And
right.
So I love that those stories kind of come out, and so we'll celebrate that as well, and just roll through the holidays. I do want to shout out to Senator Berry. He's a great guy, but he got me awfully hungry this morning when I was listening to you guys.
I know. I wish we'd gotten time to talk more about the beef industry. He and I talked a little bit afterwards. It's a fascinating industry that
it is.
Doesn't make sense. It's certainly an industry that I interact with a bunch personally, maybe not professionally.
Personally, we'll be doing that at Doe's Eat Place tonight.
There we go.
And we were at my buddy Mark Shapley. I grew up down the street from him. His dad and mom were some of my mom and dad's best friends. And so we partook there not too long ago, about a couple weeks ago. So
those are two places that are tough to beat
in Mississippi.
Amen. Yeah, Mark and his folks do a great job.
Yeah, love them.
So, is there I imagine being a musician, you probably fairly large range, but do you have like a go-to set of Christmas music when you're just by yourself?
Yeah, Burl Ives, so you're growing up as a kid and you're going, what is that voice? He wasn't trying to out-sing everybody. He was just himself. So I'm a big fan of that. And then, obviously, Andy Williams, that was what my dad would put on when I was growing up as a kid. I got to know Miss Sinatra, Barbara Sinatra.
Really?
Got to play for her with Wayne Newton and all these guys back in the day at their big charity event. I didn't get to know Mr. Sinatra, but I got to know her. And got to be one of their headline acts at their big event. So and spent many years out there, where I met a lot of friends who come to our charity event every year, the Delta Soul Celebrity Classic, for our foundation. So, I mean, of course, Frank and the Rat Pack with Dean Martin. But at the same time, you're still going to get the Bublés and all the modern stuff that that we hear, Mariah Carey and all that. But we're still going to hear B.B. King or Albert King in the middle of it, or Faith Hill or Marty Stewart, whoever, Bobby Rush, Dorothy Moore. We're going to feed you Mississippi's greatest, who have made a huge mark on the world. And so it's a lot of fun doing that. I'm telling you, Will has the hands on the wheel. I'm riding shotgun over there, and I get to be the voice, but Willie gets most of the credit because he's the one that's putting the spirit in Christmas, I can tell you.
Will does a great job, and so do you, Steve. My mother, and I hadn't listened to this in ages, Johnny Mathis Christmas music was always her absolute go-to. If that even
Johnny, well, we'll be playing Johnny Mathis will be a go-to as well. So, I love, man, it was such a great voice, right? You just knew who it was. Lucian, back in that day, everybody had even though there was a style of music that was hot at the time or whatever, everybody's voices were identifiable. And then at some point, when Garth came along and artists like that, the industry decided, we need to have another Garth, and we have to have a third Garth, and a fourth. So you get to the point where a lot of times you couldn't tell the difference who you were listening to, and it became homogenized, I guess is the best way to say it. But there'll be no homogenization for commercial reasons in our Christmas show. Everybody has an identifiable voice, and they loved Christmas, So it's the one thing that Will probably isn't going to play. My favorite Christmas, y'all are going to crack up. It's a sad song by Barry Manilow, and it's about New Year's. It's just another New Year's Eve, another night like all the rest, another da-da-da, so to make it the best. And just something about him and that song that I remember when our kids were born, and starting to be raised. And it would be like the last thing that I'd hear on his album, and I'd go, man. But I'm a sucker for sad songs. It's what gets me into the writing room, and a lot of times, but I can turn a sad song into something, happy, which is how I was raised and mentored down here in the Delta, I can tell you.
Well, there's just such a connection between music and memories and music and emotion that I feel like it's the reason that people love Christmas music generally is you've got these strong connections where you listen to a song and all of a sudden you're 6 years old on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and listen, that's exactly right. So the memories come flooding out. And you want to share those memories with your new loved ones and new people in your life as you go along. So, but those things, there's certain times, certain benchmarks in your life, Christmas-wise, that you can mark down that will come. It will show its head. It'll rise up come after Thanksgiving every year. And when you hear that first Christmas song, and the particular Christmas song for sure, my only Christmas song, Catfish Christmas, has a lot of history behind it for me and how it was written, why I wrote it, and all that. But I got to tell you something. That dang thing, that was the last song I ever recorded before throat surgery. So my voice is banged up. We did it at 3 a.m, and but when we tried to go back and recreate it when my voice was healthy, I didn't believe it. So I said, no, that guy's got it. That sounds more like home to me. And so we didn't replace it. So that was literally with a quarter-sized cyst on my throat that was hemorrhaging all over the place, and I decided I can't. And there were other songs that I put on records that I didn't replace during that time because it was, and it also reminded me to take care of my voice because I wasn't taking care of my voice, and so I learned how to talk and when to take a break and all that. So that song is a memory for me of surviving throat surgery. It's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, I bet that is a memory. It's a great song. We had it as a bumper coming in. Steve, thanks for being with us. And everybody, make sure to tune in wherever you listen to or watch Super Talk tonight at 6 o'clock for Steve Azar's Christmas special. Thank you, Steve.
Much love, brother. Take care.
You have a Merry Christmas. Y'all stick with us. We'll have more coming up next.
Till Monday.
It's time to get real. Keeping it real.
It's time for you to get real with it.
And keeping it Mississippi. Your voice for statewide and national politics. Yes. Yeah. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
On the 11th day Untitled Christmas my sweetheart gave to me. 11 wrestling t-shirts, 10 rounds of ammo, 9 bags of Red Man, 8 Elvis records, 7 gravy biscuits, 6 Levi riches, 5 banjo strings.
Good morning, y'all. This is Lucian Smith, in for Richard here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Here with Lance Talbert on Christmas Eve. Robert from Jackson on the C Spire text line says, let's play some Festivus music. Robert, I don't know if that counted there, but you know, good enough for me.
Man, I've gone through so many. I'm one of those. I'll play them. I just don't like doing the whole show Christmas music. It's just not enough. Plus, we're going to get plenty of it tonight.
That's exactly right.
Don't want to wear you guys out.
But one more reason to just keep there's no reason for your radio to have any other stations on it than whatever your local SuperTalk is. Just leave it there.
Stay right there. You're good to go.
It's a good way to do it. That is, as I appreciate it, if you're watching it on Channel 70 on C Spire TV, you'll be able to enjoy a Yule log, so you'll be able to enjoy the beauty of a fire without having to turn your air conditioning way down.
Without the hassle.
Exactly. That's true. Without the hassle, also. But it won't be too warm.
Do you have a fire pit at the house that you're getting back to eventually?
We plan to eventually. We do plan to eventually. We'll see. We'll see when we get there.
I love that's something that I really do enjoy is sitting in the backyard. I have just a little not an expensive fire pit, one of those metal ones you can throw a bunch of junk in and burn it. But I've gotten to where I go out and there's a segment of trees and woods back behind the house. And had some trees cut back when the pine beetles and all that infested pretty much all the pines that were dead. And I'm not telling you to do this, and I've said this before. Don't put pine in your wood-burning fireplace. But, buddy, a dry piece of pine in a fire pit.
Out in the fire pit.
Woo-hoo-hoo, that's like throwing gasoline on something, man. All that sap cracking and popping and the smell. But, yeah, I really enjoy sitting out in the pitch dark and the bird dogs running around, barking at deer, and having that fire right there. It's just something about it. As long as it's the right temp,
Yeah, well, that's right. You don't want to do it if it's 75, 80 degrees outside. But I mean, it's something about something in your caveman brain. Fire's awesome.
Fire's great.
And
my dad was and I will consider that even though he's 79, he still is a burner. He has to burn everything. But when I was a kid, he'd have on his black bike coaching shorts and a white towel around his neck, a big good dip of Copenhagen in his lip, and a big gulp drink, and he'd be standing down at the bottom of the lot, and we had about a 3-acre lot, and he would pile up everything into a teepee, basically, of limbs and pine needles and all of the wet leaves, and then he'd sit out there with the hose down there with him and burn, and we had the fire department that would come by regularly, because the smoke would be all through Flowwood, and they'd just follow it like Bugs Bunny following suit.
Trying to find where the fire was.
They got to know us pretty well, and but it was funny because he was he grew up with, and still to this day, he loves standing there staring at a fire. I guess I got that honestly.
I think just about everybody does.
Yeah, it's mesmerizing.
We had this is not the kind of fire you want. We had a house fire when I was in college, but I remember. I've since have met people. We grew up in Belhaven, and so the house was there. But I've since met people who were at Belhaven at the time of the fire, who remember coming over to watch the fire because there's just this natural sort of. Again, I think it's our caveman brain. It's like something's on fire. Let's go look at it.
This was your home.
Yeah, the house we grew up in. But I mean, nobody was hurt. We had insurance. It was not a good
massive
thing.
Inconvenience, but nobody.
Yeah, sad, but you don't. Nobody was hurt. But anyhow, since then, I've met people who's like, oh yeah, I was at Belhaven at the time. We walked over. That was a big old fire. Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. We're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Well, it was an interesting conversation with Senator Berry. I'm kind of like Steve. I wish we'd gotten to talk more about steak and beef generally than we got an opportunity to.
Well, the end of the conversation yesterday, the last text on Sports Talk was, how do you age your prime rib?
I saw that when I came in this morning.
It's like perfect setup. And then he throws out, prime is not hard, and two, the flank steak is an excellent steak.
It is.
And I do love it in different things, and not just by itself, but a flank steak
great in the taco.
Fajitas, man, that's the way to roll.
But prime rib's one of those ones that you think of as being, it's kind of intimidating, but it's really not that hard to cook and cook a good one. And it's
not
easy
beef Wellington.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. But it's easily. I mean, it's an easy way to impress folks. For a couple of years, we're not going to do it this year just because of the where our sort of living situation. But for several years, that's what we would do on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, is get a prime rib and let it cook and slice it down. It's just a great cut of meat, great holiday meal to have there.
I remember we were traveling in baseball. We had to come down to play the Governor's Cup or Mayor's Trophy, whatever they call it back then, and we were given an opportunity to eat over at River Hills as a baseball team. The whole team, Ole Miss, was kind of invited, and they had the prime rib layout. And it was one of my first times to have, I was like 21. I'd had prime rib before, but not in a setup where it was right in front of you and they were just slicing and dicing and all that. I think I probably ate 200 pounds of prime rib that day.
It's good for you.
That was the first time I was like, man, now, what is this called again?
Good American beef. I did it a couple of years. Thomas Keller, who's a chef out of California, did a cookbook, 10 years ago that I got for Christmas. And his recipe for prime rib involves using a blowtorch to cook the outside of it. And he's very specific that you do not want we're not talking about the little blowtorches you buy at a gourmet store. We're talking an honest-to-God blowtorch that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's or your local hardware store. And so we went and got one, and you take that blowtorch and fire it up and just not quite burn, but you badly brown the outside of this thing and then slow cook it. And it is both very good, plus it's just kind of awesome to bust out the blowtorch. So it's a nice way to make it.
I loved it when I was in a kitchen and working in between jobs over the years. My favorite was I was in a very nice high-end white tablecloth restaurant, and the chef was excellent, but he had a blowtorch back there for about 10 different things. And my favorite was at the creme brulee.
Oh, yeah.
It goes from this pudding-looking stuff to this golden, crusty goodness. And it has that little glassy top to it. But, I mean, the versatility of a blowtorch in a kitchen, I mean, you can do so many things with it, especially searing, things like you don't want to overcook.
And I've seen people do that, too, where they slow cook something and then then come in and get it all nice and brown that way. So that's a good way to do it. If you've got thoughts on what you're cooking for Christmas, hit us up at the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. I see Mose likes to chop up pork tenderloin for fajitas, which
oh yeah, I was just thinking of Porky Pig. When you were talking about I was just thinking about it, like, how did he end up with just a T-shirt? Like, you would have thought maybe the pants would have been the necessity, but he only had the T-shirt, right? I was thinking about cooking some pork tenderloin myself. Isn't that the easiest thing in the world to do nowadays? I mean, you can just get it in a pack. It's already seasoned. I can throw it in the crock pot, throw it here, put it there. I mean, pork tenderloin's become kind of the go-to for a lot of folks, I would think, in many table settings. I love it. It's delicious.
Yeah, we eat a bunch of it. I mean, it's like you said, you can grab it, throw it in the freezer, defrost it, and in no time you've got a good, healthy protein that's
juicy,
cooked.
Delicious piece of white meat. Oh, man. Now, if you had to choose between a great piece of fried chicken, a nice steak cooked just right, pork tenderloin, or a big chop, say Amerigo style, where you have the big, glazed and cooked right, what would you go with? The steak?
I would probably pick I'd probably go with the steak. I mean, I'm not mad at any of those, but I love a good steak. And I tend to like the, I grew up, I forget how old I was when I discovered the fattier cuts. Because my dad was always a filet guy, and I remember eating it. I'm not mad at a filet. I appreciate it. But, I kind of want, I need a little fat on that bone.
I like a bone on there. I like the bone in. Now, one of my favorites is over at, I just drew a blank. What is it called? The steakhouse right here on County Line. Tico's. I love Tico's bone-in ribeye. Man,
they got some great ones too. That is one thing about Metro Jackson, and I would assume Mississippi in general. We got a lot of great places to eat a steak.
Especially them steaks, boy. Woo!
Well, y'all stick with us. We'll have more coming up right after this. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi.
Cannot be forgotten.
To bold opinions, Richard dives into the stories shaping Mississippi and the nation. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Police Roddy Black. Police Roddy Black. Police Roddy Black. I can smell their donuts as they smell my breath. Police Roddy Black. Police Roddy Black.
Y'all, this is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Remember, Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Well, in the last segment, we talked in the last hour with Andy Berry, who runs the Beef Council here in Mississippi, and talked a little bit about what's going to happen in the legislature, but then got to the more important topic of beef. And so solicited some thoughts on what you're cooking, either for the holidays or in general, on the C Spire text line. And I got to tell you, we got some great stuff in here. Moe's is having fried catfish, shrimp, oysters, hush puppies, and fries for Christmas. That sounds mighty good there.
Tomas with the duck poppers. And
you see also some T-bone steaks there.
I'm looking at it. I'm going to eat at some point in time.
This is pretty strong right here.
Yeah, he is rocking and rolling. And Thomas has been on it lately. He's got a crew of ducks, and then he cooked those ducks, made some poppers out of them. Got the asparagus, the T-bones. That T-bone is my favorite. I don't know.
You're a T-bone guy?
I love it. It's like there's so much in it. There's the fat, there's the bone.
That's fair.
Everything's in there, I can eat the whole one.
I'm a ribeye. I go ribeye as a general rule. But T-bone, nothing wrong with the T-bone.
I like a T-bone. Plus, my last name's T. Starts with the T.
There we go. You got to stick with it.
You kind of get pigeonholed a little bit. One thing, with the song that I played, the Police Roadblock. Be careful. The police will be out. They will definitely be looking for you if you've got something on your breath you shouldn't, and just be careful, be mindful, and
that is great advice,
and responsible as well. Nobody wants to end up in the clink during the holidays.
That's right. And every year somebody's life's going to be changed forever because somebody else made a terrible choice, and those are not choices that can be taken back. So enjoy the holidays, but don't get behind the wheel of the car if you've been enjoying them too much.
That, and also that segues me into Miami Vice, one of my favorite series of all time. It is streaming on Hulu. If anyone is, I think that's on HBO Max part of it. So if you're interested, all of the 5 seasons of episodes are in there except one. And this is what I love about streaming: is the best episode 21. I think it's called Evan. That one's not involved. That has some streaming problem. Huh. So out of all 5 seasons, there's one episode that is missing, episode 21. Now, Michael Mann, he was the original executive producer, extremely well thought of director. Seasons 3, 4, and 5, they're okay. 1 and 2 is excellent though.
But then there's just an episode that's just been
number
lost.
21 is just it's just not available for streaming. They won't allow it. There must be something in there that is, as we have all these streaming wars, something is hanging it up. So that's
I wonder if that's a legal issue, or is there something offensive?
Nobody can come up with what it is, but there's something. That's
it's like try finding. Song of the South by Disney. I remember watching that as a kid. You can't find it. Doesn't exist
now.
anymore.
They're also thinking about doing another remake of you had the 2006 movie that Michael Mann directed with Jamie Foxx and with Colin Farrell. The Miami Vice. It was okay. I mean, it was very different than the series, much grittier and dark. But the new one, they're saying they're potentially casting Michael B. Jordan in the new Miami Vice.
Okay.
So
would it also be gritty, or would this be more kind of?
I'm not sure. I'm anxious to see. I've always been a big fan of that genre. It kind of opened up the crime series a bit. It made it cool. You were down in Miami.
Right.
You had the super cool clothes, the
white
flamingos
suits
and the
stuff,
Lamborghinis and the great hair. And I'm a big Don Johnson fan. I always liked Don. But if anybody's looking for something to kind of stream and kill a bunch of time, I can assure you the Miami Vice series, it is there for you.
And it's there on Hulu.
Waiting for you. Yes, it is.
Lots of thoughts on cuts of beef on here. Jason in Starkville prefers a cowboy ribeye from Walmart, thick and fatty. New York strip, also getting some votes there. And then shout out to Hammy, who sent Richard a picture of this whole beef tenderloin that he did Sunday for dinner, which looks to have been very well cut, and very well cooked.
And probably well eaten as well.
I would imagine so.
It doesn't look like there's a whole lot that's going to get left on that.
I would imagine so. Well, we were talking earlier about the 60 Minutes piece that got spiked by Barry Weiss and the controversy of it. Several of you have chimed in on the C Spire text line, and obviously if you want to be part of the conversation, whether it's about news and opinion or cuts of meat, you can send us a text at 601-879-4395, and people are pointing out that the segment that they didn't release was accidentally released in Canada, and so you can still get it on the internet if you want to see it. But it's got some gems in it. One of the quotes from the piece is this line that says, "The Trump administration considers anyone who enters the country illegally a criminal." Do you know why they consider them a criminal? Because they've broken the law.
This is not hard to understand.
It is illegal to enter the country illegally. I mean, that's the whole point.
Buddy, I will say that I haven't traveled the world, okay? I've lived in Mexico for a bit. I followed their rules, learned their language, did what they asked, didn't want to get shot by the cops sitting over there with AK-47s and Uzis and every other gun you could imagine in the back of a Toyota truck. A guy's riding around. You did what you were supposed to. You followed the rules. I don't quite understand what with everything that you're seeing these days, with a lot of the immigrants that have come here, seem to not like me and you and anyone else that's American, but yet they love being here and getting that money.
Yes, that's right. There's a study out of Sweden, I want to say, that 80% roughly of the refugees to Sweden have vacationed in the country they came from. Now, think about that for a second. I fully support the U.S., the West, any country that's in a position to do it, should be taking legitimate refugees who are fleeing a reasonable fear of persecution in their home country. We should be taking those people in and keeping them safe. And by we, I mean the entire community of developed nations that are in a position to do it. Doesn't mean America ought to be taking all of them. But that's what you're seeing over there is a lot of these people who are, quote, refugees, but who at the holidays are heading back to where they're coming from. You're not a refugee if you're able to pop back at the holidays to see family in the old country. You're like you don't have a credible fear of persecution if when the schools close in June, you're able to pop back for a while. And the same thing true of folks coming here. We're told that lots of them are refugees who wouldn't be safe in their home countries, but they passed plenty of countries where they would have been safe. A lot of them are clearly here because they're economic migrants, and that is something that normal developed countries, even not developed countries, they have borders, they have laws about who gets to stay there. To your point, you couldn't just go to any country in the world and say, I kind of like England. I'm gonna live here now. Like, that's just not how it works. They would send you home because borders are real things.
And if the shoe were on the other foot, if in the event there was some type of unrest or discontent here in this country, would others offer us the same?
You would hope so, but I don't know. But what they wouldn't allow is just allowing endless numbers of Americans to if something happened in the U.S. and a bunch of people said we're going to go to Canada, Canada wouldn't say as many people as can get across the northern border. Y'all just come on over.
I think they would make you bring syrup. So you got to bring your own syrup, though. You can't come up here and eat all of our bourbon.
Right.
Those are the two things that you might have to bring your own. We basically just say, come on.
That's
come
right.
on, man. We got you covered. Oh, and by the way, when you want to go home for Christmas or whatever the holiday, head on back because you're a refugee. Generally speaking, I would imagine if you are a refugee, your family that's still there wouldn't be safe.
No, you wouldn't be safe. Exactly.
Of course, the people related to you would not be safe. I think we need to redefine what a refugee is, or at least dig in a little bit, because I'm not sure if the modern era refugee is the same as we maybe have defined it over decades. Seems as you made a great point, and I haven't heard it put this way, but an economic refugee.
Yeah, no, that's what you got a ton
migrants.
of. You got people who are chasing a lot of people. I mean, you can't speak for every one of them, but
Sure.
they're coming, to your point, for a better economic opportunity for them, and
So,
it just doesn't make sense to not be regulating who's coming into your country.
So is that'd be kind of where I'm going. Is a refugee only going to be somebody that comes from a war-torn country that has helped America in that endeavor, to try to free themselves or break the yoke or whatever? Is this because you can't make enough money in your country, you can come here?
Right.
Is that a refugee?
Shouldn't be, but I think clearly that's some of what's happening here and some of what's happening in Europe.
And also, it's not like we have tons of money just to hand out, but it seems to be motivated by who maybe they want to vote for in the upcoming election as to who gets in.
Well, I think that's the reason that the Democrats are so supportive of this sort of constant illegal immigration is they want to get folks in, they want to convince them that the Republicans are racist, and they want to get them to be permanent a permanent Democratic voting bloc. I don't think that's happening the way they expected it to, and it's having some real. They're getting some real backlash, but I think that's the goal.
I think you ought to require every immigrant coming here to study that. Actually, it was the Republicans that ended slavery here.
Clearly, there is a political effort by the Democrats to try to turn illegal immigrants in the long term, I think, into Democratic voters. Hey, we got one more segment coming up. Stick with us for a final segment here on Mornings with Richard Cross. This is Lucian here with Lance. Be right back.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
With Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back. Holy smokes. On SuperTalk Mississippi.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lucian Smith in for Richard here on Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. It is December 23rd here in our last segment. It is nearing Christmas time.
Yeah, it's so fast. I don't know. I wish there was some way we could tap the brakes and slow it down a little bit, but it just isn't going to happen. So enjoy it while it's here.
That's exactly right. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the music. I'm very much team listen to Christmas music clear through Epiphany. So we will have this. We'll have Christmas music going at the Smith household until January.
Well, and we'll come back on Friday. David Hajus, he'll be with us, and we'll have Captain Chris Turnipseed. He'll give us a report on hopefully a very safe holiday. That's the challenge I'm placing on all of you Mississippians. Let's have a great report from Captain Chris Turnipseed on Friday, and then we're going to have an aftermarket report. Santa Claus. He will come in and let us know how it all went.
I'm glad. He was supposed to be on last year on the 26th, and he got.
I think he was wore out.
I think he was exactly.
That's a big job,
and that's on. Frankly, that's on Santa's booker for agreeing to a 26th engagement. So I'm glad he'll be making it this year.
Well, and Thomas is he's been on one over the last few days, and I want to the HB one. he has been on top of the HB1 debate, and thank you for sharing that FedEx piece there. I'll dig in.
I'm gonna have to read that too. That's an interesting piece. The piece from Thomas alleges, and I hadn't read it, so which is the only reason I'm throwing alleges in because I hadn't read it. But
I haven't gone through it yet.
It suggests that FedEx won a big government contract and then laid off a bunch of American workers and replaced them with H-1B1 workers. And I do think that's a legitimate concern. I mean, we need going back to our conversation about immigration, if we need to import workers because we don't have enough, then we should have an organized system where we say, okay, well, Lance Talbert's going to come here for 6 months. He's going to work. Lucian Smith's going to come here for 6 months. He's going to work, and he's going to go home.
Yeah. And you can't eat the ducks at the local park.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can't eat,
whatever happened to the Haitians that were eating the ducks and the geese?
And the cats was the
cat here in her mouth.
The allegations there.
Yeah, you can't bring your own animals to eat, and you can't raid the park. We've got to put that down as law, I think.
But we don't need to be. It is not good policy for us to be importing workers to replace American workers.
Right.
That is not the way our system ought to be set up. And
the other side, I read a fascinating article, and I did confirm that it was there's a situation going on in Minnesota where you've got a lot of refugees there, and when they come in, they're being told, "Hey, this is how you beat the system. Claim disability." So they'll get $3,370 a month,
and so they're getting on that. Yeah,
and then they don't pay taxes on that. Then they have the opportunity to take that money, invest it into businesses and things that are generally for the immigrant population that they're using. So it's a weird system. It really is.
Well, they should go talk to Tim Walz in Minnesota.
I think they did.
Got that figured out.
I think he wrote the checks.
One piece of breaking news since we've been on, U.S. economic growth surged in the third quarter of 2025. The U.S. gross domestic product grew at a 4.3% annual rate, faster than the previous quarter. And that headline is from the New York Times.
There you go.
So if the New York Times is saying something positive about the economy during Donald Trump's presidency, it must be true. Now, I suspect before the afternoon gets here, the Times will have some piece conceptualizing it about how it's either Trump shouldn't get credit for it, or here are the bad things that are really happening as a result of it. But
be like the old
shell positive
game.
News.
The next article will be it's the shell game on the street where the guy's got the 3 shells and puts the little nut in it, moves it around. They'll be like, yeah, that's really what's going on. It's just how you're claiming stuff.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, you've got more after this. Your Christmas does not start here at 9 a.m., does it?
I got a little editing and things to do. We have a little best of Mary Whedon and You, which that's one I love. That Metro show. We have some really cool guests on it, but today will be a best of. It will be the cookie. We had Beth Hennington about a week ago, and she did we made cookies on air. Christmas cookies. She's amazing. She is a cookie champion on the Food Network.
Did you bake them in here? Was there
she already had some bakes. It was all decor, but really cool. If you're looking for something fun to do with your kids, that show is an excellent one. You can find it on YouTube, and it also shall be replayed. But that's the Mary Whedon and You with Beth Hennington. So if you're looking for doing something fun with kids and decorating and all that good stuff with cookies, and you can eat them, they're delicious.
I don't remember decorating cookies. I'm sure I did, but that was not an activity we did as a kid. But we have done it a ton with our children. I've got more photos in my phone of every year around Christmas with grandparents decorating cookies, and they have a big old time doing it. It's a great activity, and then you got a boatload of decorated cookies.
Yeah, you get a sugar crash right after that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't remember decorating cookies. Now, I remember eating a bunch of cookies at Christmas time.
The nap after it's the best.
That's exactly right. Well, y'all, this has been Lucian Smith here with Lance on Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk. Hope all of you have a safe and very, very Merry Christmas. Coming up next is Fox News, followed by Super Talk Mississippi News.
People been asking me, where'd you learn to fly that way? It's over in Vietnam, chasing NBA. The government taught me, and they taught me right. Stay down under the tree line, you might be alright. Treetop flyer.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.